April 7th of 1977, unforgettably snowy Exhibition Stadium and the birth of a franchise.
Here it is, the first pitch in Blue Jay history. It's a strike for the fastball. The field, hard hit ball, home run! Knocked off. It's the first homer in Blue Jay history.
And a big difference today, opening day for 1996, here in the weather-controlled Sky Dome. Yes, remnants of the two-time World Series champions are still in evidence. But make no mistake about it, these are the youthful Blue Jays. Potential, they'll learn on the job. There will be surprises, plenty of fresh faces. So the rebuilding or retooling is a blending of a short but proud history with the enthusiasm of youth. At just after 1 o'clock Eastern Time on a Tuesday afternoon, inside in the Dome, crowd still coming in, expected to be around 40,000. That would make it the smallest opening day crowd here in Toronto since 1984. Now, in 1977, they opened on April 7th, which was Sunday. Some of this snow fell here in Toronto on Sunday as the Blue Jays were playing in Cleveland. A different story here this afternoon. Partly cloudy, rather pleasant afternoon, a little on the cool side. Snow is forecast later this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Williams along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome to a brand new season of Speedy Blue Jays baseball. Where were you 19 years ago Sunday?
I tell you what, Brian. Baseball is a chronological type game, and you always remember where you were by the year and what team you were with. 1977, I was with the Philadelphia Phillies. We were beginning the season. The Phillies that year went on to play the Dodgers in the League Championship Series and lost. But I remember that, but I also remember going through my mind at the time as a veteran player, the fact that there were two expansion teams starting out. The Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners. Now, the reason you remember that as a veteran player is because there were opportunities maybe to prolong your career a little bit.
And of course, you would come and play here in Toronto. I was working for Channel 5 back in '77. I remember standing in the dugout as Anne Murray sang the national anthem. We saw one of Alt's 2 home runs. I remember the first was by Richie Zisk of the White Sox off Singer in the top of the first inning. This year, the Blue Jays will honor players from the past. Now, 2 players, and only 2, will be named to a level of excellence. It's sort of what the Dallas Cowboys do. The numbers will be on the facing of the third deck as the Blue Jays do not retire numbers. And those 2 players, here's one of them, George Bell. The other's Dave Stieb.
Well, George Bell and Dave Stieb certainly reached that level of excellence during their playing career with the Toronto Blue Jays. And I think a lot of Blue Jays fans will remember opening day of 1988 in Kansas City. George Bell, 3 home runs. And I'll tell you another guy who remembered those 3 home runs, the pitcher, Brett Saberhagen. George Bell could get some clutch base hits as well as the long ball. Another guy that Blue Jay fans always will remember, September 2nd, 1990, after a lot of close calls with one-hitters, Dave Stieb finally reached that goal of a no-hitter against the Cleveland Indians, the last, who certainly maybe were controversial, but deserve the level of excellence.
Well, Stieb was ornery, to put it mildly, but he is mellowed. We'll hear from him later. They have their children here. Stieb's 14-year-old son plays baseball. Bell's 2 boys, though, play basketball. We're right now ready for the introductions of the Toronto Blue Jays. Bob McCowan did it in the opening season. Murray Eldon, though, begins season.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, your 1996 Toronto Blue Jays. Meet equipment manager Jeff Ross, strength and conditioning coordinator Jeff Horn, head trainer Tommy Craig, assistant trainer Brent and the third base coach, number 16, Nick Leyva. In the bullpen, number 18, Coach Gene Tennis. The batting coach, number 28, Willie Upshot. In the bullpen, the pitching coach, number 34, Mel Queen. Infielder, number 6, Felipe Crespo. Outfielder number 15, Sean Green. Infielder number 20, Domingo Cedeno. Infielder number 21, Carlos Delgado. Catcher number 35, Sandy Martinez. Pitcher number 37, Tim Crabtree. Pitcher number 38, Giovanni Carrera. Pitcher number 39, Eric Hansen. Pitcher number 40, Mike Timlin. Pitcher number 48, Paul Quantrill. Pitcher number 49, Tony Castillo. Pitcher number 52, Jeff Ware. Pitcher number 55, Bill Risley. Pitcher number 57, Juan Guzman. Pitcher number 60, Brian Bohannon. Let's meet the starting lineup for your 1996 Toronto Blue Jays, beginning with the manager in his 8th season at the helm, number 43, Cito Gaston. Batting first in center field, number 2, Otis Nixon. Batting 2. At second base, number 14, Tilson Brito. Batting third in left field, number 29, Joe Carter. Batting fourth at first base, number 9, John Olerud. Batting fifth at third base, number 33, Ed Sprague. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, number 11, Juan Samuel. Batting seventh in right field, number 17, Robert Perez. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 22, Charlie O'Brien. Batting ninth, the shortstop, number 8, Alex Gonzalez. And warming up in the bullpen, today's starting pitcher, number 41, Pat Hentgen. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big hand for your 1996 Toronto Blue Jays. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join a popular anthem singer at Blue Jays games for many years, Ruth Ann Onley. Ruth Ann is accompanied by the Metropolitan Toronto Police Service Color Party and the U.S. Marine Color Guard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Protégera nos foyers, nos droits. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1996 marks the Toronto Blue Jays' 20th season. And in celebration of this anniversary, the club will have former players and staff returning to Toronto throughout the year. Outfielder George Bell and pitcher Dave Stieb are with us today. The Blue Jays' newly assembled alumni club will present each of them with a commemorative plaque in recognition of their accomplishments. The Alumni Club will be honoring former players and coaches throughout 1996 and future seasons by presenting each of them with a plaque upon their return to Toronto. Please welcome Blue Jays President and CEO Paul Beeston, who will present Bell and Stieb with their plaques. In addition, George Bell and Dave Stieb are the first former players to be honored on the Blue Jays' new level of excellence. George Bell spent 9 seasons with Toronto and is the franchise leader in home runs, total bases, RBI, extra base hits, and sacrifice hits. He was a 4-time club MVP, as well as the only Blue Jay ever to be named American League MVP in 1987. The 6'1" right-hand batter also set a major league record, hitting 3 home runs on opening day, April 4th, 1988 in Kansas City. Dave Stieb spent 14 seasons with Toronto, longer than any player in franchise history. Stieb is the franchise leader in wins, innings pitched, strikeouts, starts, shutouts, and complete games, and appeared in an American League record 7 All-Star games. Dave Stieb also recorded the only no-hitter in Blue Jays history, September 2nd, 1990, against the Indians in Cleveland.
Unbelievable.
Kindly direct your attention to the 300 level behind home plate for the official unveiling of the Toronto Blue Jays level of excellence. These inscriptions will remain in Skydome, honoring the years of hard work and dedication that George Bell and Dave Stieb contributed to the club. Congratulations, gentlemen.
What do the Gilmores do when Doug isn't playing hockey? They get around. And what's the Gilmores' secret? Exercise, a balanced diet, including the fresh, cold taste of milk.
What taste?
Why, thank you, Amy.
That's why there's a move to milk.
They were always singing in the house.
4 families share their musical stories.
My experiences with singing with my mom and my aunt are always very special.
A bond that ties them to each other.
It brings the family together.
Touching and joyful.
What made me follow my father's footsteps is just the love of music.
Our whole family has survived because of music. Family means everything to me.
Music, a family tradition, Sunday on CBC.
Do you believe that fish and wildlife conservation should be a top priority? If so, you should be a member of the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. Joining the OFAH means you're making a difference for the conservation of Ontario's fish and wildlife. Our natural resources deserve a healthy future, and you can keep our fish and wildlife a top priority by joining the OFAH right now. Join now and receive the following outdoor products by leading manufacturers who believe it's important you become a member and support the OFAH. Berkeley Power Baits, Trilene Fishing Line, a Ratlin Fat Wrap by Normark, an OFAH pewter keychain, a MEPS Helix spinner, a Can Reel Lures Salt and Buzzbait, 3 educational fishing videos, a free subscription to Ontario Out of Doors magazine, a 1-year membership in the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, all delivered in a 5-quart Coleman cooler, a $110 value for only $39.95. To order, call 1-800-353-4005. Please call now. It's your future.
On February 27, 1991, the Gulf War ended. Kuwait was liberated. On March 26th, another battle began. 2017. 10 countries attacked the Earth's worst man-made inferno. 607 blazing oil wells. And you are invited to witness the victory, the fires of Kuwait, at the Science North IMAX Theater. Brought to you by MCTV.
Ah, yes, memories of 1977, the 48th Highlanders in the outfield, left center field. In the snow, the game was due to start at about 1:30. Didn't get underway actually till 3:22 in the afternoon. And again this afternoon in southern Ontario, it's a sunny afternoon, a little on the cool side. Some snow is forecast for later this afternoon. The roof is closed here today. I mentioned the crowd. It'll be well under 40,000 as the Blue Jays open today against the California Angels. And the starting pitchers, Tommy Hutton, it's interesting. Mark Langston will go for the California Angels. Pat Henkin for Toronto. Langston had trouble with left-handers last year, even though he is a left-hander. Lefties hitting 22 points better than right-handers against Langston.
Well, it's amazing. Langston, even though he did have a few problems last year with lefties hitting him quite well, he still won 15 ball games, and he's in his 13th Major League season. Always a tremendous competitor out there. Has a good pickoff move. He's won 7 Gold Gloves. He's one of those pitchers that comes right at you. Now, it's deceiving to look at his record, 0-0 with a 0.00 ERA. He has pitched one time, and he pitched brilliantly. Came up with a no decision against Milwaukee in his 7 1/3 innings pitched. Allowed just 2 base hits to the Brewers and struck out 7. So he is off to a good start. But his mound opponent is a guy who's also off to a good start. Pat Henkin won his first ball game, pitching actually for the first time today, this year, in a Major League stadium, pitching in Las Vegas against the Oakland Athletics. Pat wasn't all that happy about his performance against Oakland. He was the winning pitcher, and the thing that is most amazing about Pat Henkin, he has never missed a start as a Toronto Blue Jays pitcher.
Well, we had a shot of the starting catcher today, Charlie O'Brien. There he is. He was walking with Mel Queen, the pitching coach, and Pat Henkin. Talked to O'Brien this morning. He's never worked with Pat Henkin. I said, a little easier than Juan Guzman. He said that could be the understatement of the year. O'Brien, of course, with the Atlanta Braves last year. We showed you the wall or level of excellence here. George Bell and Dave Stieb inducted this afternoon. Earlier this morning, I had a chance to talk with Dave Stieb. Dave Stieb, I'm not sure if I should step back. I remember covering you for CBLT. You were downright tough to deal with. You'd glare at your teammates. You had the reputation as being one tough SOB. As you look back, would you mellow a little?
Oh, of course I would. If I knew then what I know now, I'd have changed a lot of things. What people don't realize is, as an outfielder and turning into a pitcher, it was a new role for me, and it was a learning process, and I went from everything being on my shoulders to having the performance of others dictate how mine would turn out.
You're the best pitcher this organization has ever developed. What would be your favorite memory?
I have many of them. It's tough to just name one, but 2 of them would most likely be the first playoff game with this organization and winning that game, and the other would probably be the no-hitter.
What would you say to the Canadian fans today?
Thank you for your support and for taking a liking to me all those years.
Dave Stieb, And the Wall of Excellence, Steve and George Bell named to the wall here this afternoon. Dave's son, 14-year-old Andrew, is here this afternoon. There he is. He's a center fielder. George Bell's two boys are here. Chris is 15. George Jr. is 13. But George told us, Tommy, he says, they don't play baseball. They play basketball.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, too, Brian, the comment by Dave Stieb. First memorable moment, the playoff game. So he was thinking team, the other the no-hitter. But he was a guy, and I think fans also mellow over the years. And looking at these two guys out here honored today, George Bell and Dave Stieb, a couple of guys who were every once in a while criticized by fans, but the longer they're away from the ball club, fans realize what they had when they were here.
Here's the lineup for the Angels this afternoon. Randy Velarde starts at second base after 9 years with the New York Yankees. Edmonds in center. Tim Salmon, certainly a future MVP in the American League, is in right field. Chili Davis, the veteran DH. J.T. Snows at first. Garrett Anderson in left. George Arias will start at third base this afternoon. George Fabregas is the catcher. He's been erratic both behind the plate and at the plate. They've got Todd Green in Vancouver. Don Slott, the veteran, on the bench. And Gary DiSarcina. When he was injured last August, that's really when the Angels started to go downhill. Pat Henkin starting for Toronto this afternoon.
Well, we've talked about the level of excellence with George Bell and Dave Stieb going there. I really have a feeling someday that Pat Henkin may reach that level when his career is over, too. He's in his 11th year in the organization, his 5th year with the Toronto Blue Jays. He was a 19-game winner in 1993. He has that competitiveness. And he said it really has been a treat for him to come up in an organization when he was a young pitcher, to be able to draw from the experience of a Dave Stieb, of a Jack Morris, of a Dave Stewart. And he said one of the things that he certainly learned from Steve was that when it's your turn to go out there and pitch, you take the ball. And I mentioned 87 times now he has started without ever missing a start as a Blue Jay pitcher in the rotation. Defensively for the Jays this afternoon, a couple of changes. Talked about Langston on the mound. He's a lefty, so Robert Perez gets a start in right field. It'll be his first action this year. Sprague and Olerud at the corners. Tilson Brito once again starting at second base, and behind the plate, the veteran who handled Greg Maddux and Steve Avery last year. This year, and right now, he's handling Pat Henkin.
And stepping in to get this game underway at 1:23 Eastern is the California second baseman, the veteran of the New York Yankees, Randy Velarde. Velarde batted .353 with 3 runs scored in the 4-game homestand the Angels have just come off. All 6 hits were singles.
I think with the troubles that the Yankees are having at second base, that George Steinbrenner might be saying, I should have spent the extra bucks and kept Randy Velarde. There's a good fastball, painted perfectly. Another one. One thing Pat told me, he said when he is pitching, and one of the things he's learned, and he gets ahead, don't try to make that perfect pitch. Just come back with something, have good stuff on it, have the hitter make himself out once in a while.
Got even at 2-2 in his first start. Henkin was ahead 0-2 on many occasions and could not put the batter away. One down as Velarde goes down swinging.
You have to realize when you get ahead, you have the upper hand. So you don't have to make that perfect pitch. There's a fastball. Gets a good part of the corner, has a little movement, and because he had gotten ahead, he's able to pick up the strikeout.
With one down, here's the center fielder, Jim Edmonds. Edmonds takes a ball. We talk so much about Edmonds, Anderson, Salmon, and their hitting. Remember, Edmonds had the 4th highest strikeout total in the American League with 130 last year, and they're strike one.
Yeah, he may have struck out a few times last year, but he put up some tremendous numbers, and he's off to a pretty good start this year. Already has 9 RBIs. Edmonds is a good low ball hitter. If you stay away and keep it in that area, you'd have some pretty good success, as Pat shows with that first strike. Tries to stay up and away again with the second one. Now he has Edmonds thinking.
Comes inside, count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That's one of those pitches that's too close to take. You're up there hitting a 3-2 pitch. It's probably high and a ball, but it's a nice fastball. You're looking for it. It's tough to stay away from it, but that's where you want to try to pitch Edmonds. That ball's down a little bit. He has better luck.
Joe Carter in left field, 2 down.
Really terrific pitching that time by Pat Henkin, even though he fell behind, got to a 3-2 count. But you could see his pattern to Jim Edmonds. He wanted to keep everything up. He wanted to stay with hard stuff and preferably up and away. Missed one time inside.
2 down here in the top of the first inning. And it's the right fielder, Tim Salmon. Impressive early season stats, but as I said in giving the Angels lineup, everyone you talk to in spring training, California had the best record. They talk about Salmon as an almost certain future MVP.
Well, last year there was so much talk of the Cleveland Indians outfield with Bell and Lofton and Ramirez. Many people feel the Angels, if not as good, maybe even better with Garrett Anderson, Edmonds, and Salmon.
Well, it's interesting. The Cleveland infield, or Cleveland outfield rather, had 88 home runs. This California outfield, Edmonds, Anderson, and Salmon, had 83. Handled easily by Ed Sprague. Throw on to John Olerud at first, and the Angels are gone in order in the top of the first inning. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Even 100,000 people concentrating simultaneously cannot will a small leather ball across a goal line. Or can they?
The Olympic spirit, to strive, to soar, to face any challenge. It means so much more in real life. That's why Bell created the Spirit of Canada Fund to support programs that help develop, train, and show our children that in life, as in sport, anything is possible.
Friday night! Haven't these two guys been spending just a little too much time together in the wilderness? Bingo! Fire! Stop! Enough said. Royal Canadian Air Force, Friday on CBC.
Picture this. A hilarious comedy special starring Sean Alex Thompson.
I'm so creepy. Hello, nice people. Let me off.
And an ensemble cast.
I love it.
1 minute to air.
What a great title!
On CBC Television, Friday at 8.
And back in Toronto for the bottom of the first inning. Let's have a look at the Blue Jays lineup that will face left-hander Mark Langston this afternoon. The center fielder Otis Nixon leads it off. A slap hitter that should be much more effective on the artificial turf. Tilson Brito will bat second. Crespo and Cedeno still with minor injuries. Joe Carter bats third, plays left, batting cleanup, and playing first this afternoon for the second straight game is John Olerud. Ed Sprague bats 5th and plays 3rd. Juan Samuel, the designated hitter, batting 6th. The right fielder is Robert Perez. I mentioned earlier Charlie O'Brien catching this afternoon, his 3rd start of the year. And the shortstop is Alex Gonzalez. On the mound for the Angels, left-hander Mark Langston.
And a good look at the 35-year-old veteran. He's won 166 ball games in his career. Spent 5.5 seasons with the Seattle Mariners, a little over a half a year with the Montreal Expos, and now in his 7th year with California. But I mentioned not only does he have that good fastball and breaking ball, but he's a good fielder. He's won 7 Gold Gloves, has a good pickoff move, so he gives you just about everything he has when he takes a mound. Defensively, Marcel Latchman, the manager of the California Angels, not too hard to figure out the lineup when he has an outfield of Garrett Anderson, Edmonds, and Salmon. A lot of assists between those outfielders, 22 last year between those 3. The big change for California is George Arias. Came out of Double-A ball. He's their starting 3rd baseman. Veterans around the rest of the infield, and George Fabregas behind the plate.
And with Arias starting at 3rd this afternoon, Tim Wallach's on the bench for the California Angels, and Otis Nixon leads it off for Toronto. Nixon takes ball 1. I mentioned that after coming off the games in Vegas and Cleveland, he should be much more effective being a slap hitter here in the artificial turf. Velarde has no trouble getting at Nixon. Nixon is gone, 1 down here in the bottom of the 1st inning. Well, with Crespo and Cedeno still bothered with minor injuries, the starting 2nd baseman this afternoon is Tilson Brito.
I think it's going to be a while before Cito Gaston settles in as to who he wants as his regular 2nd baseman.
Base hit into right field.
If Tilson Brito keeps swinging that way, he'll help Cito decide quickly. Very nice stroke. You're a number 2 hitter. You don't want to muscle the ball or overpower the ball. Keeps his head right on it with that hard line drive to the opposite field.
So with 1 down and Brito on at 1st base, the batter is the left fielder Joe Carter. Carter hitting above 300, but much like last year, Tommy, a lot of singles.
Yeah, sometimes it takes power hitters, which are all streaky. Sometimes they get off to slower starts. Sometimes they get off, as Jim Edmonds and Tim Salmon have done, with home runs. But we all know, in watching Joe Carter, when he gets in one of those streaks, look out. This is a great situation where a veteran coach, Alfredo Griffin, in his 1st year, but a veteran meaning he's seen the move of Mark Langston many times. So he can really help Tilson Brito, the runner at 1st base, and let him know he has a good one.
Strike 1 to Joe Carter. You talked about Griffin. Cito Gaston said down in spring training that not only does he speak the language of the Latin ball players, he thinks in their language. And that is very, very important working with these young Latin players this year. Well, they honored Bell and Steve before the game. You talk about important members in the Blue Jays history. Certainly Alfredo Griffin ranks near the top. That's back out of play.
I think, too, that is a good point, Brian, about thinking the way the young Latin players think. I mean, there'll never be a loss of translation when a point is being gotten across to one of the young Latin players. And these youngsters grow up in an area where they play a lot of baseball, maybe do it a little differently sometimes in growing up in North America.
And when you're teaching, and there's so much teaching to be done with young players, thinking as they do is so important.
Just remember what Yogi said. You can't hit and think at the same time.
Langston gets Joe Carter 2 down.
Here's a look at that breaking ball that Mark Langston features. And he was trying to come into the back door. And boy, he made a perfect pitch. Joe had to swing at that pitch because it was right on the corner.
2 down. You see Brio still at first base, and the batter is the first baseman, John Olerud. Olerud did not hit a single home run in all of spring training. Has a couple so far this season. We'll probably discount the one in Las Vegas because of the dimensions at Cashman Field, but he had a good home run this weekend in Cleveland.
Hey, a home run's a home run. If John hits 60, they won't say, no, it's only 59 because one was in Vegas.
What did he say when he hit the one in Vegas? Someone said, you didn't hit a home run all spring. He said, I was saving it up for the regular season.
Hey, the Tigers pounded out a few when they went in to play Oakland, too.
In left field, Garrett Anderson pulls it in. That's all for the Blue Jays. They will strand one here in the bottom of the first inning. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
It's no surprise that Canada exports so much when you consider how much Canadians have to offer the world. That's why since 1990, Ford of Canada has invested some $4 billion in this country and its future so that we can build vehicles right here, not only for the roads of Canada, but also for the roads of the world as well. Ford and Canada, same road, right direction.
I have been thinking, William. Perhaps you're right. What about what, Jack? The future, the possibilities, the brave people, snowmobiles, incredibly good beer. You mean that true Canadian lager that I've been telling you about? I could feel good about building a country like that. Now remember, Jacques, the future won't be perfect. Huh? I haven't told you about the GST.
What will you do with money you save at Speedy?
I saved $49 for my Honda brake, so I got my husband's surfing lessons.
I saved $44 on my brake job over the dealer. I'm keeping.
Right now, pay no PST and GST on all brake work at Speedy.
I saved $53 on my minivan's brakes. Guess I got number 99 here, some skating lessons.
And you can trust Speedy to use only top quality parts. Speedy for brakes, Speedy for savings, guaranteed.
Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Brought to you by Speedy. For brakes, mufflers, and tires. At Speedy, you're a somebody.
Top of the second inning. Here's the DH, Chili Davis. Hits the first pitch into center field. That is California's first hit of the afternoon. So the Angels with the leadoff man on here in the top of the second inning.
Well, veteran 36-year-old told me that he'd been swinging the bat all right. Hadn't found any holes, but when you go up against a pitcher you've had past success against, which Chili has had against Pat Henkin, 3 home runs, you feel comfortable. Chili with a nice, comfortable swing right there.
Davis on at first base, and the batter is the California first baseman, J.T. Snow.
Funny how things happen in baseball. J.T. Snow traded from the Yankees in the Jim Abbott deal. And now Jim Abbott's back with California.
With Abbott back in California, the Angels with 3 good left-handers in Langston, Abbott, and Finley.
Sean Bosky, a right-hander, is their 4th starter. Scott Sanderson will be starting. Steve Ontiveros is recovering from shoulder surgery. They'd like to get him healthy.
Henkin ahead in the count, 0-2.
We've seen Pat work. Remember how he worked to Edmonds up and away. Right here, he's trying to work JT Snow inside and finds it right there.
Henkin ahead in the count and puts him away. Second strikeout of the afternoon. 1 down here in the second inning.
Can't be much more perfect than that. You saw Charlie O'Brien set outside. Charlie saying that's just the way Greg Maddux used to paint that outside corner when I caught him.
So with 1 down, Davis still on at first after the leadoff single to center field.
Charlie, by the way, was not doing that with Guzman on the mound, right behind the plate. But he knows Pat can hit those spots a lot better.
Here's the Angels left fielder Garrett Anderson, a player you fans listening in Vancouver, where it's still morning, remember well. Anderson was with Vancouver until June, didn't come up to California till June of last year, and in spite of coming up late, was runner-up for Rookie of the Year in the American League to Minnesota's Marty Cordova.
Well, we've talked about the nucleus of this ball club, offensive-minded. Guys like Salmons and Anderson and Edmonds in the outfield, but look at the production from these guys. Even Anderson, who didn't play a full season, as you mentioned, spent some of it in Vancouver, still had 16 home runs and 69 RBIs.
Got a 2 balls and 1 strike. Anderson hit better than 400 in August. First rookie named American League Player of the Month. He, of course, tapered off when the Angels went into that free fall.
Hard to imagine that the California Angels on August 2nd led Texas by 11 games and Seattle by 13 games.
One pitch is hit into right field. Perez pulls it in, and back to first base goes Chili Davis. 2 down.
You know, you always tell your kids you don't want to see you have to learn the hard way. But I think if the Angels can remember what happened, draw from that experience, and take it over into this year, it's tremendous experience. It isn't a lot of fun when it happens, but they can really learn from it.
Mark Langston was saying that's what we have to do. We have to build on it. We built on it in spring training when, this is quoting Langston, we had the best record in baseball. Here's the third baseman, George Arias. That'll be back out of play. You know, it's interesting, Tommy. The Angels squandered a 10.5 game lead on Seattle from August 16th to September 20th. That drop in just 35 days, the fastest loss of a lead of that magnitude this century. The record had been 44 days for the 51 Brooklyn Dodgers to lose 10.5 games to the Giants. Bobby Thompson with a home run. The biggest lead loss, the 78 Red Sox, 14.5 games on July 19th.
Yeah, I guess the amazing thing is that the Angels had to win their last 5 games to force the playoff.
And Langston was the losing pitcher against Randy Johnson. What was the score? 9-1, I think, but the game was close.
It was close for a while.
Yeah, for a while.
They broke it open about the 6th or 7th inning.
So again, Pat Henkin is ahead in the count, 0-2. 2 down. Davis on at first. Strikeout this afternoon as Arias is gone looking. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
My dream house would be a big house with stairs that go like this and have a big chandelier. There'd be a humongous horse. I'd have the main floor, and it would have a room for my pets. Rusty. His name is Rusty.
To see how you can be home free faster, get expert help, the right plan, and guaranteed competitive rates, see your CIBC personal banker or call now.
1,000 times bigger than this.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
Organics Root Penetrating Shampoo. The only shampoo with Glucosil. An essential nutrient that penetrates the very life source of hair, the roots. Organics revitalizes hair, giving it body, so hair looks radiant and full of life. Organics Root Penetrating Shampoo. Created by the Alida Hair Institute in Paris.
It's a free country. If I want to give interviews, I'll give interviews. You know what your problem is? You're too modest. Hey, I give good quotes, and you can print that on the front page. Anthony Hardaway, best player in basketball, guarantees championship. Guaranteed.
You can't say stuff like that.
Tyra, let me just tell you this. I'm an integral part of the Magic organization. Now, Penny is the team leader, but I'm the choreographer for the Magic Dance. Get you a job if you want. Hey, whoa, Penny, stop the car. That was Tyra Banks, fool.
Who sayest thou shalt not have fun, being a knight of the round table?
It's the Black Knight.
New Jello Berry Black, a right wiggly blend of blackberry and raspberry flavors that shall bring out the fun in anyone.
Hey, guys, what's this?
I am your father.
Just a reminder, Molson Hockey Night in Canada coming up. It'll be the New York Islanders at Montreal, Edmonton at Toronto, Calgary at Vancouver, the national telecast, and that is coming up this Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern. Bottom of the second inning, it'll be Ed Sprague, followed by the DH Juan Samuel and the right fielder Robert Perez. Ball one to Sprague. Ed Sprague, the only Blue Jay to play in every game last year. He had a pretty good spring, both average and power.
I think the thing you're seeing in Ed Sprague, over the last 3 years, he's averaged right around 14 home runs, 63, 65 RBIs, and he's getting better. It's just going to continue to improve because of the type of work ethic that he has.
Langston behind in the count. Mark Langston came to the Expos in '89 from Seattle, the year Montreal tried to win it all.
Wasn't there a big lefty by the name of Randy Johnson in that deal? Say the other two guys had pretty good stuff too, Brian Holman and Gene Harris.
Hey, you speak of the Montreal Expos, Timmy Wallach is with the California Angels, former Expo, former Dodger. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes to Ed Sprague, leading it off here in the bottom of the second inning. Out of play down the left side.
The thing about Ed Sprague, as you watch him play, and as we've seen him over the last 3 or 4 years, he's improved in all the areas of the game. His fielding has gotten better, showing a little more range, steadier on the routine play. His throws are consistent, and each year his batting is getting better. So he's one of those players that isn't flashy, gives you some good numbers.
That's the second strikeout this afternoon for Langston. He got Carter in the first.
You were talking about Tim Wallach, veteran. Angels do have a lot of veterans on their bench.
Hey, speaking of veterans, that was Don Slott standing up in front of him.
But look at the experience California has coming off their bench. Guys like Wallach and Rex Hudler, Jack Howell back from Japan, Dick Schofield, Mike Aldretti. So when Marcel Lashman has to go to the bench, he knows he has experience.
First pitch is a ball to Juan Samuel. Speaking of experience, veteran with Kansas City and Detroit last year. We had a shot of both Tim Wallach and Don Slott, the veteran National League catcher, standing up. They both had home runs Sunday as California beat the Chicago White Sox. Wallach played first base. Look at Wallach, and Don Slott was the starting catcher. Hard hit. Arias, the rookie third baseman, can't handle it. And with one down, Samuel is on here in the second inning.
You talk about veterans, you have to throw in Juan Samuel with the Blue Jays in that category. This ball just eats up George Arias. But that's the kind of hitter Juan Samuel is. He's 35 years old. Sure doesn't look 35 the way he plays. Hustles, and what a great example. We talked about Alfredo Griffin, but what a tremendous example for the young players, especially the Latin players, with Samuel on the ball club.
Right fielder Robert Perez, as Langston moves Samuel back to the bag. Still waiting to see how they score that. They haven't flashed either hit or an error.
Oh, it's got to be a base hit. Brooks Robinson would have made that on a good day. Maybe.
Maybe Mike. Maybe Eddie Matthews. I don't know. They still have the Angels, though, with just one hit. And the Blue Jays also with just one hit, so we await the decision. Now they put up hit number 2, so you're right. That is a hit for Samuel, second for Toronto this afternoon. Brito with a single to right in the first inning. Samuel with the infield single here in the second inning. The one hit for California, Chili Davis, a leadoff single in the second.
There's that quick snap move by Langston. I want to give you a little insight on Samuel. A lot of players, they'll get down to first base like that in that situation, kind of peek to the scoreboard to see if they got a hit or not. Samuel never looked. He's a team player. He knows he's at first base. That's all that counts.
Samuel was signed back in January, originally to the Syracuse AAA roster, but we watched a couple of games together, Tommy, down in spring training, and you said to me, no question, he has to be on the 40-man roster. Snow down to second for one, on to first, and not in time. So Samuel is erased at second base, and on at first base is the right fielder Robert Perez, who showed pretty good hustle getting down the line.
Good hustle, and he also showed he knew what he wanted to do with that pitch. It was a breaking ball away. He was trying to hit it to that hole on the right side. Unfortunately, he hit it to a Gold Glover. JT Snow, you don't see too many 3-6-3 double plays, but the Angels will pull it off a few times with guys like Snow and DiSarcina.
So Perez on first on the fielder's choice. 2 down. Here's the catcher, Charlie O'Brien. Inside. Jim Joyce, the first base umpire this afternoon. You could hear him up here yell, safe. Langston doesn't have the speed he used to, Tommy, on the fastball, and the feeling is he's good for what, 6-7 innings?
Well, he's got that experience, though, of a 13-year major league pitcher, and he has the consistency. We talked about it with Pat Henkin, having never missed a start. Langston has thrown a lot of innings. He's thrown over 200 innings. 10 times, 9 out of the last 10 years.
Two balls and one strike to Charlie O'Brien. O'Brien hit .227 with 9 home runs, 23 runs batted in for the Atlanta Braves last year. Langston now behind 3 balls and a strike.
Well, what Charlie O'Brien did last year for the Braves in handling Maddox and Steve Avery and helping Javier Lopez, their young catcher, helping him learn the ropes, he's going to do the same thing for Sandy Martinez.
Well hit to left field. And Charlie O'Brien, hitting just .143 coming into this game, has given the Toronto Blue Jays a 2-0 lead with 2 down here in the bottom of the second inning.
If you make a mistake to Charlie O'Brien, he will do that. He hit 9 home runs last year. Langston's mistake, the breaking ball, too much of the plate and up a little bit. But don't underestimate the hustle of Robert Perez, keeping that from a double play and keeping the inning alive.
So the veteran from the Atlanta Braves gives the Blue Jays a 2-0 lead. First pitch is a strike to the shortstop, Alex Gonzalez.
Well, let's see who has the good hands in the bullpen. Is that Mike Timlin?
He got it.
Hey, nice play, Mike. He probably played some outfield in high school.
I tell you what, he pitched some this spring. Gave up, what, 1 run in 15 innings. Count is 0-2. There's Timlin, Bohannon. Strike 3. Gonzalez is gone looking. That is the 3rd strikeout this afternoon for Langston. The Blue Jays get 2 on the home run by Charlie O'Brien. You're watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Even 100,000 people concentrating simultaneously cannot will a small leather ball across a goal line. Or can they?
It's time to play.
Roll up the rim to win.
At Tim Hortons, where everything's always fresh.
Even the prizes.
Win. One of 15 1997 Ford Escort LX sedans or wagons.
Roll up the rim to win. 5,000.
Raleigh mountain bikes. Or over 8 million Tim Hortons prizes.
Roll up the rim to win. Drink the coffee first, people.
Roll up the rim to win. They're rolling off the line.
Wow.
Greetings, fellow Canadian beer drinkers. Here we are on our winter getaway to Florida, deep behind enemy lines. Hello. We got sun, we got sand, we got water. Ooh, water. I'm reminded of light beer. Maybe that's because so many of those watery light beers are watered down here. Thankfully, I have obtained this Labatt Blue Light. Sure, it's crisp, it's clean, it is refreshing tasting, but it tastes like a beer. Blue Light, a true Canadian light beer. Hey, if I wanted water, excuse me, anyone seen a dog?
Speedy Blue Jays Baseball on CBC. Brought to you by Labatt Blue, the true Canadian lager.
Top of the 3rd inning. Here's the Angels catcher, George Fabregas. First pitch is a ball. In 73 games last year with the Angels, he had .247. In 21 games with Vancouver, also .247. The Angels lost catcher Greg Myers to the Minnesota Twins. Free agent left for Minnesota. I mentioned Don Slaught played Sunday, but Fabregas has to step up both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, they want him to step up. It's also a good pickup to get Don Slaught, the veteran, a right-handed hitter, so they complement each other, one being a lefty, one a righty.
And Fabregas steps up here in the top of the third inning with a leadoff single to right field.
Fabregas out of the University of Miami, that's produced a couple of major league catchers right now. Charles Johnson with the Florida Marlins. Jorge Fabregas from Miami went to the university, his hometown.
In Detroit, Alan Trammell has hit his first home run of the year at Tiger Stadium as the Tigers lead Seattle. The Red Sox off to a terrible start. And the New York Yankees at home this afternoon, leading Kansas City in the fourth inning. Count is 0-1 to the shortstop, Gary DiSarcina. Now, just a 111 average now, but he was hitting over 300 when he went down with the injury last August the 3rd. And it was after that that the Angels went into the free fall in the American League West.
He tore ligaments in his left thumb. The Angels were 16-25 when he was out of the lineup.
You talk about his numbers last year. His average 307, 5 home runs, 41 runs batted in, and again was gone August the 3rd. Count is 2 balls and 1 strike to the shortstop DiSarcina. Fabregas on a first base.
See if Pat can get it back together the way he did in the second inning after the leadoff base hit by Chili Davis. He was able to get the next 3 hitters, Snow, Anderson, and Arias. That's what he needs to do here.
And struck out 2 of those 3, fanned Snow and Arias. Got Anderson to fly out to right field. He's now behind 3-1. Right side, Perez coming in, can't get to it.
In case you're wondering about Shawn Green, Robert Perez in the lineup today. A couple of reasons. The lefty, Langston on the mound. He hasn't played yet, so Cito wanted to get Robert some at-bats. Shawn Green's okay. He was hit by a Dennis Martinez pitch, hit on the knee, but he was limping a little bit yesterday during the workout, but he said he would have been fine to play today and still could.
Boy, he was hit flush on the knee Sunday afternoon by Martinez in Cleveland.
They got an RBI, though, so that's okay.
A painful RBI. First walk this afternoon given up by Pat Henkin. And with none out here in the top of the third inning, there's Fabregas at second. DiSarcina's at first, and it's back to the top of the order for the second baseman, Randy Velarde.
This is where Pat is going to have to regroup and think about something that he was telling me that he had read either last year or the year before about Greg Maddux, 4-time Cy Young Award winning pitcher with the Braves. Maddux was quoted as saying when he gets himself in a jam, instead of all of a sudden tightening up and trying to throw the ball harder, step off the mound, relax a little bit, and if anything, throw the ball a little easier and get good movement.
Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
We talked about Velarde earlier, the second base problems with the Yankees. Pat Kelly probably is on the DL. Tony Fernandez, they were going to play, is on the disabled list.
I saw Fernandez go down. It was a Sunday afternoon game at Legends Field in Tampa early on against Houston. Diving to the right for a ball. Boy,
he let loose with that one.
You talked about stepping off and thinking about it, folks.
That one sounded hard.
Oh, man.
He just threw that one by Velarde.
Look how far behind Velarde is.
One of the weaknesses that the Angels have, they don't have many, and it's nothing against Velarde, but he's not the ultimate leadoff type hitter.
Nixon hesitated, makes the play in center field, and the runners will remain at first and second. One down.
I would have to imagine, Brian, that the Yankees probably have even talked to the Blue Jays about possible trades with the abundance of middle infielders, second baseman that Toronto has, and the Yankees certainly looking for someone to fill that position.
It never changes. You've worked in New York. Kenny Rogers, what's the contract? $20 million. And they're still not sure what he's doing.
And he was ready to rip it up.
First pitch is a ball to the center fielder, Jim Edmonds.
The game of baseball is a game of adjusting. Let's see if Pat Henkin adjusts or stays the same to Edmonds. Remember, he worked him up just with every pitch, up and away.
Tough out. One. Yes. Boy, he worked him up and away, just as you said.
Got him up and away, got him to hit the ground ball. Talk about how Langston plays his position. Pat Henkin, the same thing. Hustled over there to get the relay throw.
Double play ends the inning.
CBC Current Affairs.
Close to 1 million windshields are replaced each year in Canada. Thousands of those are installed improperly.
Probing.
Salmon fishing now costs far more than it's worth.
Analytical.
Good evening, I'm Milton Nash. In tonight's documentary, we...
Surprising.
The 90s ideal of being fit and healthy could well be contributing to infertility.
CBC Current Affairs. Beyond the headlines.
This will be an adventure.
Take a madcap romp with the queen of personality.
Are they digging up dirt on me?
Tracy Ullman
Okay, enough already.
takes on New York in her very own special, Monday, April 22nd on CBC.
Hello, everybody!
I read laundry list.
What can you do for vegetarians?
Help you on with your coat? I can't believe you're putting a price on our friendship.
$90,966.05.
Love, Sex, and Other Natural Disasters, a comedy special, Monday.
With the buying power of over 240 stores, Castle guarantees quality, value, and service. When it comes to drywall finishing, CGC is the name pros trust. CGC offers a complete line of products in handyman sizes for repairing and finishing drywall. CGC at Castle Building Centers, a friend in your community.
Castle will show you how to build it at your Castle Building Store.
A cash donation will be made to the World Wildlife Fund in the name of the Labatt Player of the Game for Toronto by AST's Advantage multimedia PCs, loaded and ready to run. Get the home advantage, AST Advantage computers, for your family, for your life.
Let's go back to the top of the third inning.
He stayed with up and away. He knows that's Edmonds' weakness. Got him to hit the ground ball. Good play by John Olerud to stay with it and make a good feed to Alex Gonzalez. You're just hoping for one right here. But look at Pat Henkin hustling over, taking the throw. 3-6-1 double play. That's a tough one.
First pitch to Otis Nixon is lined to the first baseman, J.T. Snow, one down.
And as you described, Otis with that cutting and slashing type swing, that was slashed to J.T. Snow. He probably slashes a little bit more as a left-handed batter, but he does it quite often hitting right-handed too.
Here's Tilson Brito. Takes strike one. Brito with a single to right field. First of 3 Toronto hits so far this afternoon. They came with one down in the first inning. Pushes it down the first base side, and he got him. You talked about some good hustle by Pat Henkin. How about Mark Langston getting over there?
Well, we're seeing a couple of the best in the American League as far as fielding their position. We've already seen it in Pat Henkin. We've talked about Langston and his 7 Gold Gloves. But a gold glove really isn't going to help you here. You have to have instincts, quickness, and be able to bounce off that mound. And as a left-hander, you're falling off to the third base side. Snow with the good feed. Langston knew he couldn't beat Tilson, so he had to tag him.
Almost looked like the start of a flat-out sprint there. So Brito is gone. 2 down, and the batter is the left fielder Joe Carter, who struck out in the first inning. Langston has stepped up, though. People around the Angels tell me this year to be a real leader. It's Langston that you read quoted about, we're not going to fold, we're going to learn from what happened last year.
It's great to have that in any of your players, a pitcher, a veteran, who certainly a lot of pitchers on the Angels staff respect.
And he hasn't always been that way, you know, by his own admission. Two balls and 1 strike. Nick Leyva coaching down at third base. Talked about Griffin over at first base and his Spanish. Nick worked in where? Venezuela, I believe, in the winter.
Venezuela had Tim Crabtree pitching down there for him. Was able to see the Angels' third baseman, George Arias, played in Venezuela. So Nick has a scouting report on him.
That's a ball. First full count of the afternoon for Langston.
Talked about what players bring to ball clubs. Joe Carter with young players that the Blue Jays have this year. If you don't learn some things from Joe Carter, you're not talking to the right guy, because you need to. When you play with guys like Joe and what he's done, you have to tap into that.
And Carter is the first to admit that he himself has learned from last year. He said, look, this team packed it in. This team quit not only on themselves but on the fans. It is, I talk to fans, Tommy, they say they'd rather watch a younger team with a few veterans that's trying than a team that packs it in. And Carter right up front and saying that's what happened last year. Fabregas puts the tag on, and that's the 4th strikeout this afternoon for Langston. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
What will you do with money you save at Speedy?
I saved $49 on my Honda brakes, so I got my husband surfing lessons.
I saved $44 on my brake job over the dealer, and I'm keeping it.
Right now, pay no PST and GST on all brake work at Speedy.
I saved $53 on my minivan's brakes. Guess I got number 99 here, some skating lessons.
And you can trust Speedy to use only top quality parts. Speedy for brakes, Speedy for savings, guaranteed.
Even 100,000 people concentrating simultaneously cannot will a small leather ball across a goal line. Or can they?
Owning a home today in this economic environment.
This home is the one we're going to stay in the rest of our lives.
I think you feel very fortunate if you do own one. When we think about renewing our mortgage, we're not that great at it. That's what we look to the bank for, because you want to make sure that you make the right decision.
To see how you can be home free faster, get expert help, the right plan, and guaranteed competitive rates. See your CIBC personal banker or call now.
We'd have a bit of a barn burner when the mortgage is paid off.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
Speedy Blue Jays Baseball on CBC. Brought to you by CIBC. We see what you see.
And with Tommy Hutton, I'm Brian Williams. Welcome back to Toronto, top of the fourth inning. And that's a strike to the Angels' leadoff hitter, the right fielder, Tim Salmon. The Blue Jays with a 2-0 lead, courtesy the two-run homer by the veteran catcher Charlie O'Brien with 2 gone in the bottom of the second inning. High and deep to center field. Nixon back up against the wall and pulls it in. There's been so much talk comparing Otis Nixon and Devon White. Let's talk defensively. There are those that say he doesn't get the jump that White has. He doesn't have White's arm, but he has good speed once he decides where he's going.
Yeah, I think if people expect to see Otis Nixon make Devon White plays, they're going to be in for a letdown, because he's not. There are plays that Devon made that Otis is not going to be able to make. Otis does not have the throwing strength in his arm that Devo had, but he does have the speed, and it helps him make up for maybe a mistake, maybe a lack of a jump. And he has the instincts, and he has the veteran knowledge out there of where to play hitters.
And he wants to play here in Toronto.
And I'll tell you what, he's off to a better start defensively than Devon White is with the Florida Marlins. He's having some struggles.
Now, you live down in the Miami area. High and inside. I'm reading where the Miami fans were all over White. He lost a fly ball in the sun.
He's misplayed a couple of balls. He dropped the fly ball. On the other hand, offensively, I think Otis Nixon is a more suitable leadoff man. He can do many more things at the top of the order as far as infield hits, bunt hits, stealing bases.
Well, I like Cito Gaston's description. He's a natural leadoff hitter, as opposed to Devon White, who simply batted in the leadoff position. Count is 3 balls and 1 strike to Chili Davis with 1 down here in the top of the 4th inning.
It's similar to the Angels situation this year. They don't have a natural leadoff hitter, so Randy Velarde hits in the leadoff spot.
Count is full. Chili Davis with a couple of home runs, homered in the first 2 games of the season for the California Angels as they were home to Milwaukee.
Situation where Pat Henkin has a 2-0 lead, even though he knows he has a power hitter up there. 3-2 count. He's just trying to challenge Chili Davis. Just as I say, try to challenge him, he pulls a string that throws him a breaking ball and has everybody in the ballpark fooled.
Big Bend, 4th strikeout of the afternoon for Henkin.
There's confidence in a pitch to throw it in that situation, and give credit to Charlie O'Brien for making the call.
So now with 2 down, here's the Angels' first baseman J.T. Snow, who struck out back in the 2nd inning, the first California out in the 2nd after Chili Davis had singled to center.
Can't imagine the message that pitch sends to the entire Angel lineup, too. If you're sitting there on the bench in the on-deck circle and you see, with a 2-0 lead, you see that 3-2 curveball, it makes you think now as a hitter.
And there's no question that pitching is the key. I mean, it's always the key in baseball, but especially so for this Toronto team this year. Guzman with a big effort Friday night in Cleveland. And Henkin with a big effort so far here this afternoon. If this club's going to be anywhere near 500. Henkin has to win 15. Hansen has to win 15.
Yeah, Eric Hansen threw well in Las Vegas. Got roughed up a little bit against the Indians. The Indians will tend to do that against some pitching. The Jays would like to see Paul Quantrill get it on track. There's a number 5 man. Jeff Ware threw the ball well in his 3 innings out of the bullpen.
The count is full. Gonzalez on to John Olerud at first, and it is a 1-2-3 inning for Pat Henkin and the Toronto Blue Jays. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
My dream house would be a big house with stairs that go like this and have a big chandelier. There would be a humongous horse. I'd have the main floor, and it would have a room for my pets. Rusty. His name is Rusty.
To see how you can be home free faster, get expert help, the right plan, and guaranteed competitive rates, see your CIBC personal banker or call now.
1,000 times bigger than this.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
These remarkable people succeeded in slimming their waistlines and achieving these dramatic results with Easy Crunch. A scientific breakthrough so effective, we guarantee you will lose 4 inches and 10 pounds in 1 month or your money back. Now, you can get up off the floor and turn any chair in your home into a workout machine. Exercise while watching TV. Use it when you travel. Easy Crunch is tough, lightweight, and easy to store. And because you can change the resistance by adding up to 5 power bands, anyone can become firm, flat, and fit. This fabulous doctor-designed exerciser is so effective and easy to use, it's the choice of the reigning champion as Mr. USA. Call now and order Easy Crunch. The 5 power bands, the instruction guide, the workout video, and the nutritional guide. We'll bill your credit card 2 easy payments of $24.95 plus shipping and handling. Or send check or money order for $49.90 plus shipping and handling to the address on your screen. Put Easy Crunch to work for you. Call now.
Spring into the Mattress Factory Outlet on Tuesday, April 9th for 12 hours only. Save some green. Box spring and mattress as low as $99. Foam mats are only $68. The store is flooded with mattresses. A total price meltdown on all mattresses. Adjustable steel bed frames, only $28. Spring into the Mattress Factory Outlet, 685 Notre Dame, home of the Notre Dame boys.
Well, there was the crowd of just under 45,000. Opening day, April 7th, in 1977. Jim Hunt, a columnist with the Toronto Sun, has a great line. He said, 44,000 and change were there. 4 million claimed to have been there, and the crowd here today should be well under 40,000. And to lead it off for the Blue Jays with a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the 4th inning. It's the first baseman, John Olerud. Olerud flied out to the left fielder, Garrett Anderson, to end the first inning.
Anytime John pulls the ball that way, it probably excites Willie Upshaw a little bit, hitting instructor this year, because Larry Heisel worked with John on trying to do that. Willie worked with him in the spring. And they were pleased at the series in Las Vegas against Oakland because John did hit some balls to the right side. That's what Willie and the rest of the staff want to see him do, maybe a little bit more.
Sunday against the Cleveland Indians, played in his 800th game, and here today he has gone on strikes leading off the bottom of the 4th inning.
Tough to pull that one, though, because Langston just painted the outside part of the plate.
Hot dogs or beer, I'm not sure, coming down. You know, I remember in 1977, the fans yelling, "We want beer. We want beer," as the game was delayed. Ed Sprague, with 1 out, fouls it off on the right side. But boy, I can remember that chant so clearly. We want beer.
I think that was led by Scott Carson, that chant.
Our stats man.
At that opening game.
Scott Carson, by the way, getting married later this year. Congratulations. Inside. Two balls and a strike to Ed Sprague. Scott Carson marrying Kathy next October. Scott, congratulations. You notice he works in baseball. He scheduled it for after the season.
Well, I mentioned when we talked a little bit in the opening, everything in baseball, if you're in this game, and I hate to admit it, but this is my 32nd year either as a player or broadcaster, the game dictates all the dates in your life. You know, when were your children born? When were you married? It all has to do with the season.
The put out is 1-3 on Ed Sprague, 2 down. Olerud and Sprague gone here in the 4th inning, and the batter is the DH Juan Samuel.
Now, you asked me what I was doing in 1967. I would say, well, I was in the Pacific Coast League playing for Roy Hartsfield. He didn't know he was going to be the Blue Jays manager in 1977, but he was my manager in the minor leagues.
And you didn't know you'd be here eventually.
That's
both
right.
As a player
playing
and
for him in '78.
That's right. Langston is ahead 0-1 to Juan Samuel. On in the 2nd inning with a hard shot that the third baseman Arias couldn't handle. He scored a base hit, and he was on base when Charlie O'Brien delivered the 2-run homer. I said Jim Hunt said 4.5 million people claim to have been here. I think 450,000 perhaps claim to have been here. Actually, Samuel was erased 3-6. Check that. Perez was on base when O'Brien homered on a fielder's choice. Comes inside, count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pitcher Mark Langston, and Juan Samuel is 2 for 2 this afternoon as the designated hitter.
There'll be no problems at all for Cito to get Samuel in that lineup in many different situations. I mean, he can DH as he is today. You can put him in the outfield. He can still play a little second base, not like he used to, but he can always hit, and he'll always do that.
So with Samuel on at first, here's Perez, who was on a fielder's choice back in the 2nd inning. First pitch is a ball.
Now, Juan Samuel is 35 years of age, but there was a time, a 4-year stretch with the Phillies, where he put up some incredible numbers, and during that 4-year span, averaged over 50 stolen bases a year.
Perez at the plate was named the R. Howard Webster Award winner at Syracuse last year, hitting .343 with 66 runs batted in. Well, the hit and run was on. Samuel will go back to first base.
Yeah, just a straight steal. Samuel not picking up the hitter with 2 out, but there's an example of his hustle. I mean, he just trying to steal that base. Got a great jump off Langston. If the ball's not fouled off, Samuel is able to pick up the steal. Sometimes with Langston, you just go on movement. You don't try to guess with his move. As soon as he lifts the leg, you just take off.
Perez swinging again. And the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 down.
How about the Phillies at one time having in their organization in the minor leagues Juan Samuel, Julio Franco, Ryne Sandberg, and George Bell.
Bell came from the Phillies to Toronto via the Rule 5. And you talk about Franco. He made some great plays at first base Sunday afternoon at Jacobs Field. Phillies have been decimated by injuries this year. Now, first it was the pitching staff, and now it looks like Darren Daulton is through.
Yeah, first the staff. Greg Jeffries then injured his thumb. He's going to be out a couple of months, and then Dalton's knees never come around. He's thinking of retirement. Be a tough year for the skipper of the Phillies, longtime Angels shortstop, Jim Fregosi. Actually has the record for most games played at shortstop for the California Angels.
And he was a great favorite of Gene Autry's.
History for the Angels, his double play partner is the first base coach for California, Bobby Knapp. We saw him the first time up on a breaking ball away, try to hit the ball the other way with a man on first base. Didn't work out that way. This time, Langston tries to come inside with a breaking ball, gets it up a little bit, and Robert just turns on it and nails it past Arias at third base.
2 down, Perez at second. Here's Charlie O'Brien, who had the 2-run homer back in the second inning. You know, it's interesting. All 3 Toronto runs driven in by the bottom third of the order here this afternoon.
A big run right here, too. Anytime you can pick up a run after 2 out. First 2 hitters, Olerud and Sprague, and then Samuel and Perez produce a run. Veteran players who've been around, you can't make too many mistakes. The home run was a mistake, out over the plate and up, that pitch a mistake, and Charlie O'Brien has capitalized both times.
Well, Mark Langston has now given up 6 hits and 4 runs with 2 down. O'Brien at first. Here's Gonzalez, the shortstop. That's ball 1. for the shortstop, Alex Gonzalez. It is 5-0 Toronto.
Let's just say it wasn't as pretty watching Charlie O'Brien go from first to home as it was Juan Samuel, but he made it. And I really admire the aggressiveness of Nick Leyva. Charlie's heading to third, thinking that Nick may hold him up, and then sees him waving him to the plate. Once he sees Fabregas come up the line, he knows as a catcher that that throws off the line, and he gets around him and is able to sneak in there. So take a breather, Charlie. See, if you're a catcher, you know once you come into this position, you're coming up to get the throw. So Charlie saw Fabregas do that and was able to just sneak around and tag the plate with his hand.
So 2 down. All 3 Toronto runs have come here after the leadoff hitters, Olerud and Sprague, were both retired in the 4th inning. Otis Nixon handled by Velarde at second base, on to first, and that's all for the Blue Jays here in the bottom of the 4th inning, but they add 3 and lead by 5. This is Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
The job was to build a tough truck. So we put the new F-150 through hard labor and came up with features that work. The only super cab with a standard 3rd door. The only 60/40 split rear bench. More footroom, more headroom, and the only standard dual airbags in its class. We figure if it can handle the punishment from 9 to 5, it should work just fine on weekends. The all-new 1997 Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength.
Daddy?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get babies?
Well, they come from their mummy's tummy.
How do I get into Mummy's tummy? Do they grow from seeds?
Oh, look, children's television is
Daddies
on.
make boys and Mummies make girls?
How would you like to go to McDonald's for lunch?
Yeah, can I have a Happy Meal?
Yes.
And you have a Big Mac?
Yes.
And then you can tell me all about it.
Even 100,000 people concentrating simultaneously cannot will a small leather ball across a goal line. Or can they?
Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Brought to you by Powerade Thirst Quencher. Cuts thirst in a powerful way.
Angels set to bat here in the 5th inning. First pitch to the left fielder Garrett Anderson is a ball. Pat Hentgen is behind 2-0. That is 2 balls and a strike. If you are scoring, give a double to Gonzalez, not a triple. He went to 3rd on the throw to the plate. So again, in the bottom of the 4th inning, that's a double with a run batted in for Gonzalez, going to 3rd on the throw to the plate.
I think the judgment being watching Alex round second base, he really hesitated just for a moment to see where the throw was going to go. Then he went to 3rd base. If he never hesitated and continued on toward 3rd, it would be a triple all the way.
Well, it's a full count to the leadoff hitter, the left fielder Anderson, here in the 5th inning. Rito can't handle it. Anderson is on, leading it off here in the 5th.
Well, I think if you remember back an inning or two when we were talking about the differences between Devon White and Otis Nixon, I think so many parallels will be drawn this year with whoever plays second base to Roberto Alomar. And it's certainly unfair because Roberto Alomar is the best out there at second base. Not an easy play, but a play that should be made until Sombrito is charged with an error.
So it's an E4. Anderson out at first base. George Arias is the batter, the third baseman. Interesting story. He's a rookie from Tucson. And when he found himself in the Angels starting lineup for the opening night at home, he said, I've only seen 2 big league games in my life prior to tonight. Nixon in straightaway center field. Back to first base goes Garrett Anderson. There's one down. Here's the catcher Fabregas, who singled to right field back in the 3rd inning.
We've seen Cito Gaston, of course, in his 8th year now as manager. Kind of unassuming, quiet. Marcel Latchman goes about his job, taking over the helm for the California Angels. Took over in May of 1994. Been their pitching coach for a long time, then went to the Marlins as the pitching coach down there for his brother Rene.
I'll tell you what, he looks a lot more relaxed here this afternoon than he did last September.
Yeah, definitely so.
Count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Latchman and the Angels favored by most to finish first ahead of Seattle in the American League West this season. No pitch. He called time, says the home plate umpire John Hirschbeck.
Like to have that microphone behind home plate picking up those calls. We can understand a few things that happen. It's been a good game by John Hirschbeck. He's had a good strike zone, very consistent with it. I'm sure both pitchers happy about that, and hitters.
Again, it's Nixon in center field, and again, back to first base goes Garrett Anderson. I mentioned the home plate umpire, John Hirschbeck. Jim Joyce is at first base today. Jim McKeon at second, Ted Hendry at third. And this crew is in good condition, all under 200 pounds. And it's interesting to see, and I'm not being facetious here, the umpires now asking for fitness equipment, some Nautilus equipment, some treadmills in the various stadiums so they can stay in shape.
I'll tell you an interesting story about Jim McKeon, who's umping at second base here this afternoon. I know these guys all work out. I've seen Jim over many different stadiums, Skydome as well, getting to the ballpark sometimes 2 o'clock, coming out, getting a good workout, getting himself ready. And it's unfortunate what happened with John McSherry, the National League umpire who collapsed and died at home plate in Cincinnati. But I think it's brought to the attention of a lot of people the type of careers these guys have and how they need to stay in shape just like everybody else.
Well, it's interesting to read today that Eric Gregg, well over 300 pounds, has taken some time off. Says he will get into shape. That's a strike. Count is 2-1.
And all I can say, in my association with John McSherry in the National League, everything you read about him was absolutely true. He was a real prince. He wasn't an antagonistic type umpire. He did his job. He let you have some fun out there. He was good to be around.
You know what the most unbelievable part of that day was? Maybe it's not unbelievable. Marge Schott saying, why did this have to happen to me and delay my game? Very classy comment from the not-so-classy owner of the Reds. She's unbelievable. I am being facetious, folks. He walks him. That is the second walk issued today by Pat Hinken. DiSarcina is on at first. Down to second goes Gary DiSarcina. Rich Garcia, Palermo. Umpires, the crew from the first day at Exhibition Stadium.
And making a fashion statement, I might add. Well, new garb this year for the umpires. New logo on their caps. Wearing some short sleeve shirts and different tops. And the American League umpires and the National League umpires going with a little different look here in 1996.
Count is 0-1 to the leadoff hitter, the second baseman, Randy Velarde. Anderson's at second. DiSarcina at first.
Charlie doing it offensively, but staying with that pitch in the dirt and keeping the runners in check. To have that breaking ball in the dirt, you know it's going to kick back a little bit, and you got to just try to smother it. And that's all Charlie did. That's all he had to do.
Count is 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 down, runners at first and second. Pat Hinken has given up only 2 hits this afternoon. He struck out 4. He has 2 walks. Both those walks coming to the number 9 California hitter, DiSarcina, in the 3rd and then here in the 5th.
Actually, Pat, in dealing with DiSarcina, it could be one of 2 things. Lack of concentration because he is the number 9 hitter, or the fact that Pat knows that he's hitting pretty well. DiSarcina coming into today 7 for 14 lifetime against Pat Hinken.
It's a full count with 2 on and 2 down.
Well, he threw the breaking ball, and there's a saying in the game, if you're a hitter up there, if he's going to throw it 3-2, he could throw it, or 2-2, he could throw it 3-2 also. So you have to be ready for the breaking ball and the fastball in this situation.
Back-to-back walks issued by Pat Hinken here in the 5th inning. And with 2 down, the Angels have loaded the bases.
Well, they've loaded him for a guy who's already hit a grand slam this year, Jim Edmonds. Here's a look at Mel Queen taking over as the pitching coach this year. He's been in the organization, so he's been able to see and assess a lot of these young pitchers over the last few years.
No grand slam today. Under it in left field is Joe Carter. California Angels leave the bases loaded. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Introducing the new Civic hatchback from Honda. The best new economy car of the year. So easy to get into.
Enters the world of fantasy.
Lakme.
Mozart. Madame Butterfly.
La Traviata.
Bridge of Figaro.
La Cenerentola.
Puccini.
As CBC is your host for opera's greatest hits, Sunday at 7.
Hi.
I'm Tom Jackson.
And I'm Tina Keeper, and we're hosting the 1996 Aboriginal Achievement Awards.
With performances by Buffy St. Marie and Murray Porter.
And Tom Jackson.
The Aboriginal Achievement Awards, Sunday at 8.
Hey, maybe they'll let me sing too.
George Fox, Time of My Life, starring George Fox.
I'm gonna have the time of my life.
Loving you. With his special guests, Patricia Conroy, Shania Twain, Lisa Brokaw, and Susan Aglukar.
I'm gonna have the time of my life tonight. Loving you to death.
George Fox, Time of My Life, Friday night at 9 on CBC television.
We found that 1 in 20 babies was significantly underweight.
Are newborns and mothers sent home too soon?
I remember feeling, I can't do this by myself.
We risk babies dying of dehydration.
Marketplace, tonight at 7:30.
Picture this. A hilarious comedy special starring Sean Alex Thompson.
I'm so pretty. Hello, nice people. Lend me your laugh.
And an ensemble cast.
I love it.
1 minute to air.
What a great title.
On CBC television, Friday at 8.
Back in Toronto, first pitch here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Tilson Brito is thrown out by the second baseman, Randy Velarde. So Brito is gone. Carter and Olerud scheduled to follow. The Blue Jays, who have out-hit the Angels by 5, 7-2, lead 5-0. 3 of the runs driven in by the catcher, Charlie O'Brien. 1 by Perez and the other by the shortstop, Alex Gonzalez. Carter struck out in the first inning. Again in the third, is behind now 0-1. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike to Carter.
Questionable look by Joe Carter,
to say the least.
It's one thing, though, we talked about John Hirschbeck. He's been consistent with that call all day.
70 pitches thrown so far. Here's pitch 71 by Langston. 43 of them for strikes, and the count is even at 2-2.
Well, he went inside, missed away. See where he goes this time.
And just a reminder, the Maritime Life Olympic swimming trials from Montreal this Saturday afternoon at 4:30 Eastern. The Summer Olympics opening ceremonies Friday, July 19th in Atlanta. Alan Abel will take a look at 100 years of the Olympics on Thursday night, July the 18th. Here's the 2-2. Carter reaching. The third baseman, Arias. And he's not in time. Carter beats it out.
Joe Carter still has a little left in those 36-year-old wheels. Hit that ball that he thought was going to be in the hole, but a nice ranging play by the third baseman, George Arias. It's one of the reasons he's getting the nod.
He pumps, though, here. Delays a bit.
A little bit of a delay. Probably didn't have a good handle on the ball. And Joe's able to pick up the infield single.
So with 1 down on the infield single, there's Carter at first, and the batter is John Olerud, who is 0 for 2 this afternoon. Flied out to left in the first, struck out in the fourth. First pitch is a ball. The Blue Jays have got a tough act to live up to this afternoon. Their opening day record is 15 wins and only 4 losses.
That's right, only 4 losses in home openers. So they have played well when they've returned. Talking to a lot of the players, it's always beneficial when you start on the road, when you return and you get that one day off. Makes it a little difficult when you play on a Sunday somewhere, get in late at night, and then have to play a day home opener. But the fact that the Jays had Monday off, were able to settle in a little bit, work out, that makes it better for the players. Gets them adjusted.
And nice they only had to come from Cleveland, as opposed to, say, coming in from California or Texas. Here's the 2-0. Goes to first instead. Into scoring position with a count 3-0 to John Olerud. Throw just a little wide from Fabregas.
See, Joe heard me talking about his wheels on that infield base hit. He figured, well, if I get an infield hit, I can steal second. Got a good jump, and then the throw really takes DiSarcina out of the play, and Joe picks up the stolen base.
Had to catch his breath, though. Had to wait for a couple of pitches.
Lest we forget, a member of the 30-30 club, Joe Carter.
John Olerud is walked. There's Woods with the first ever Blue Jays stolen base. Gary Woods, that was in 1977,
well,
19 years ago.
Albus Woods and Gary Woods, right-handed hitting outfielder. Gary was. And yes, he did have some speed.
Mentioned Elvis Woods. Everyone talks about Doug Ault's 2 home runs. I said at the top of the show, Zisk homered for Chicago, but Elvis Woods had that pinch hit home run. Gary Woods with a stolen base. First pitch to Ed Sprague is a ball. 1 down. The leadoff hitter Brito grounding out 4-3. Carter with an infield single and a stolen bases at second. Olerud with a walk is at first. Off Langston's glove. The bases are loaded. Goes on to first base. Carter's over at third. Olerud's at second.
Well, you know it's hit sharply when Mark Langston can't flag it down. Mentioned the excellent fielder that he is. 7-time Gold Glove winner. Once the ball scooted away as far as it did, he realized he didn't have a play. So he just wanted to keep all the runners in check. The story of this game so far, the bottom 4 hitters. 6 for 8 with all the RBIs and all the runs.
First pitch is a strike to the designated hitter, Juan Samuel. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Ed Sprague with that infield hit on at first base.
Talked about that 15-4 record for the Jays in home openers. I was looking that Jimmy Key won 3. Dave Stieb 3 times winning pitcher of a home opener.
High and inside. You mentioned the bottom 4 in the Toronto order. Samuel has not driven in a run, although he's 2 for 2. Perez has driven in 1. Ryan's driven in 3, and Gonzalez has driven in the other. Fabregas will come out to talk to Mark Langston. The right-hander Ken Edenfield is warming up for California. You know, as I look at my scorecard here, Langston has only walked 1 batter. 1 on to first for the double play. So the Blue Jays will leave the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 5th inning. The score remains the Blue Jays 5, California nothing. This is Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Owning a home today in this economic environment.
This home is the one we're going to stay in the rest of our lives.
I think you feel very fortunate if you do own one. When we think about renewing our mortgage, we're not that great at it. That's what we look to the bank for, because you want to make sure that you make the right decision.
To see how you can be home free faster, get expert help, the right plan, and guaranteed competitive rates. See your CIBC personal banker or call now.
We'd have a bit of a barn burner when the mortgage is paid off.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
This is some portage, William. How far does the Great Prairie stretch? Well, Jacques, all the way to the future site of the world's largest rodeo, Canada's Calgary Stampede, home of cowboys, bronco busting, and another perfect gathering place where Canadian beer drinkers can celebrate with a true Canadian lager. And how far away is the Stampede? Oh, another 200 years.
They were always singing in the house.
4 families share their musical stories.
My experiences with singing with my mom and my aunt are always very special.
A bond that ties them to each other.
It brings the family together.
Touching and joyful.
What made me follow my father's footsteps is just the love of music.
Our whole family has survived because of music.
Family means everything to me.
Music, a family tradition, Sunday on CBC.
When it's baseball time on the CBC, any night, any day. When it's swinging time, ring-a-ding-a time, any night, any day.
I tell you what, the look on Tommy Hutton's face was priceless when that came up. That was from 1977.
I would have guessed earlier than that. Let's just say that's not the kind of music my 2 teenagers listen to.
Top of the 6th inning. Here's the right fielder, Tim Salmon. First pitch is a ball. Offensively, the Angels outfield has been quiet here this afternoon. You know, I talked about offense. Cleveland, Bell, Lofton, and Ramirez last year with 80 home runs. Remember, Salmon, Anderson, and Edmonds had 83. As we check the out-of-town scores this afternoon, Boston off to a bad start, but winning today. Yankees winning by 3 at home. The right fielder, Robert Perez, is there. And the leadoff hitter, Tim Salmon, is gone here in the 6th inning.
They must have gotten that snow cleared off the field of Fenway Park. That opener originally scheduled yesterday in Boston, and they called it early because it snowed. They had to clear the field.
See, Texas and Chicago scoreless in the 4th in Chicago. Rangers off to a great start.
Little right-hander Tom Gordon pitching for the Red Sox today.
Flash Gordon.
Good acquisition for Boston.
Chili Davis, the designated hitter, 1 for 2 this afternoon. Singled to center field back in the 2nd inning. Struck out in the 4th. That was Henkin's last strikeout, his 4th of the afternoon, when he got Davis back in the 4th. Well hit. But Nixon chases it down in right center field, and there are 2 down.
There's an example of speed. Otis Nixon was able to track that down because he still possesses outstanding speed. Was shading Chili Davis just a little bit to right center. Got a good jump, stayed with the ball all the way, and was able to pull it down.
Well, that's what we talked about earlier. A lot of people saying he doesn't get the good jump, but he got the jump there, but he has the speed and can make up for it even when he doesn't. That's a strike to J.T. Snow.
And that time he put both of them together, a good jump and speed.
And quickly, Henkin ahead in the count, 0-2.
That's one thing about Pat. When he gets in a groove, unlike Juan Guzman, Pat gets that ball, he likes to throw it. He doesn't waste any time.
And that's what Mel Queen is trying to get Juan Guzman to do this year.
Well, he did it better in Cleveland. Guzman did in his win there.
You worked that game for him.
Guzman had good stuff, had good command, good control.
And he was throwing the ball as opposed to trying to be a finesse pitcher. After a couple of quick strikes, a couple of balls, and the count is even at 2-2. 90 pitches so far this afternoon for Henkin. You see the breakdown. Pitch 91 is a ball, and the count is full.
Well, he threw 110 in his first outing. Ball game against Oakland.
Pops it up. The shortstop, Alex Gonzalez, and it is a 1-2-3 sixth inning. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Even 100,000 people concentrating simultaneously cannot will a small leather ball across a goal line. Or can they?
Access Tool Warehouse introduces its Stihl Concept Store. Introductory prices mean you can save up to $100 on Stihl chainsaws, starting at only $279.95. Trimmers and brush cutters are priced low with electric models starting at $99.95. Blowers for garden and landscape maintenance also as low as $99.95. They also carry Stihl cutoff saws with the TS350 at $849. Stihl factory trained service personnel and all parts and accessories in stock. Keep you and your investment working. Access Tool Warehouse in Stihl, #1 worldwide.
Ogamy Marine is having an open house blowout sale April 6th through 13th featuring Sea-Doo watercraft and jet boats. Come on down and check out the severely overstocked blowout sale. Bring in your best deal and we'll beat it. Drive into summer mode with Sea-Doo watercraft and jet boats, the best-selling boats in the world. At the open house blowout sale April 6th through 13th at Temagami Marine, your Sea-Doo watercraft and jet boat dealer.
Closed captioning of this Blue Jays telecast is brought to you by Canadian Tire.
With Tommy Hutton, I'm Brian Williams. Welcome back to Toronto. Bottom of the sixth inning. It'll be the bottom third of the Toronto order. Perez, O'Brien, and Gonzalez have accounted for all 5 Toronto runs here today. Perez with an RBI double in the fourth inning will lead it off.
And welcome to the 96 season here on CBC.
Gary DiSarcina, the shortstop, on to J.T. Snow at first base, and the leadoff hitter Perez is gone here in the bottom of the sixth inning.
Talking earlier, looking at DiSarcina, remember we mentioned Jim Fregosi, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Fregosi, the all-time leader in games played at shortstop. Dick Schofield is second, and he's with the Angels this year. Gary DiSarcina is third on that list.
Here's the catcher, Charlie O'Brien.
Here's Dick Schofield along with Rex Hudler.
That's a ball to O'Brien. O'Brien with a 2-run homer back in the second inning and an RBI single in the fourth. I see Mo Vaughn is homered for the Boston Red Sox, who now lead Minnesota 7-1. Everyone talking to O'Brien before the game. It was all about handling Pat Henkin. very few questions about his bat. It'll be a different story after this game.
One guy who knows how Charlie O'Brien swings the bat is Joe Carter. They were teammates in college, Wichita State.
Shockers?
And Joe said he swung the bat then just as he does now. Not real selective at times, but when he gets that pitch, or if a pitcher makes a mistake, he'll have a rip.
One pitch is pulled foul. O'Brien went to Wichita State, born and raised though in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's an Okie through and through. Strike goes down to first base. It has been an afternoon to remember for the veteran catcher.
Talk about the free swinger that Charlie O'Brien is. Langston gets him to chase that big curveball, but he reaches first base on the wild pitch. Strikeout in the wild pitch.
Fabregas really had no chance on that play, so with one down, O'Brien already with 3 runs batted in, and a couple scored here this afternoon. Here's Gonzalez, that RBI double coming in the 4th inning. Back at first base after Velarde tried to double him up. 2 down. It was close.
Ball hit sharply by Alex Gonzalez. Good sign too. Anytime Alex stays back, hits the ball the other way with authority the way he did there, that's a good sign. But good reactions by Charlie. Whoops, he sees it's a line drive to Velarde, and Velarde's throw just a little bit offline, but Charlie did get back.
So with 2 down and O'Brien on at first, here's the leadoff hitter, the center fielder Otis Nixon. First pitch is a strike. Nixon 0 for 3 this afternoon. Grounded out to second in the first, lined to first in the third, grounded again to second in the fourth.
How many Blue Jays fans still remember Otis Nixon in the World Series? Last out of the ball game. Mike Timlin.
A lot of Canadian fans remember him in Montreal. Velarde on to Snow at first, and that's all for Nixon, who's 0 for 4 this afternoon. You're watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Why waste time with a tractor like this when you can own a quality Mastercraft tractor from Canadian Tire? It has shift on the go to perform smoothly in tight areas without stopping, so you can finish your lawn in no time. Everyday low prices? That's good. Plus, no payments till August with your Canadian Tire card? That's better. Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
Journey to the top has never been an easy one. Every day is a struggle to be a little better than you were the day before. Sometimes it's an uphill climb and the peak seems distant. But when your target is directly in sight, it all comes down to focus on your goals and on the game. When you have that, the summit doesn't seem quite so far away. To all the northern kids who believe dreams can come true, Tilden Interrent, carriers of precious cargo and future superstars throughout the north.
Data has joined forces with the deadliest of enemies.
Data, I can sense feelings in you.
I've helped him to break free. He vows to kill the crew without mercy. Drop it, or I'll break his neck on a mission to destroy the Federation.
Helm, get us out of here.
I will destroy the existing brain cells. I want you to kill Picard. On the next exciting episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Tonight at 6 on MCTV.
A cash donation will be made to the World Wildlife Fund in the name of the Labatt Player of the Game for California by Weed Eater and the new Twist and Edge gas and electric trimmers that trim and edge. No attachments required. Twist and Edge by Weed Eater. 2 tools in one. Just depends on how you twist them.
California Angels, trailing by 5, come to bat here in the 7th inning. It'll be the left fielder Garrett Anderson, followed by Arias, the third baseman, and the catcher Fabregas. First pitch, soft grounder to the second baseman Brito, on to John Olerud at first, and the leadoff hitter Anderson is gone here in the 7th.
I don't know if you heard it, but Tilson Brito, even though he's a youngster, yelling, "I've got it, I've got it," to make John Olerud go back to first base. Sometimes as a first baseman, you have a tendency to go to your right to try to make a play. All of a sudden, now the pitcher becomes involved, and it's a more difficult play at first base. John goes, here's Tilson yell, goes back to first base. Now it's an easier 4-3 putout.
And with one down on the 4-3 putout, here's the third baseman Arias. The Angels trading Eduardo Perez, the third baseman, the son of the great Cincinnati Red Tony Perez.
So Pat's still making good pitches. He got in on Anderson for a ground ball out. He goes away, then comes inside, and then makes another good pitch to George Arias. So Pat Hentgen here in the 7th inning is still spotting the ball beautifully. Saw the one on the inner part of the plate. He goes right back there. Says you didn't see that pitch too often in Double-A. That's what George Arias is going to have to deal with this year.
So with 2 down, Hentgen enjoying a 5-0 lead. He's allowed only 2 hits this afternoon. First pitch to the catcher Fabregas. Brito eventually picks it out and throws him out at first, so it is another 1-2-3 inning for Pat Hentgen. This is Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Even 100,000 people concentrating simultaneously cannot will a small leather ball across a goal line. Or can they?
My dream house would be a big house with stairs that go like this and have a big chandelier. There would be a humongous horse. I'd have the main floor, and it would have a room for my pets. Rusty. His name is Rusty.
To see how you can be home free faster, get expert help, the right plan, and guaranteed competitive rates, see your CIBC personal banker or call now.
1,000 times bigger than this.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
This will be an adventure.
Take a madcap romp with the queen of personality.
Are they digging up dirt?
Tracy Ullman
Okay, enough already.
takes on New York in her very own special, Monday, April 22nd on CBC.
Hello, everybody.
I read laundry list.
What can you do for vegetarians?
Help you on with your coat? I can't believe you're putting a price on our friendship.
$90,966.05.
Love, Sex, and Other Natural Disasters, a comedy special, Monday. Tonight.
It administers moral and ethical guidance to more than 900 million Christian souls. Its hallowed halls house some of the world's greatest historical treasures. Hello, I'm Peter Ustinov. Join me on a magnificent journey inside the Vatican.
Scandal, sacrifice, and salvation. Untold secrets of one of the world's oldest institutions. Inside the Vatican with Peter Ustinov continues tonight at 9.
The California third baseman George Arias, who has claimed that job with the trade of Eduardo Perez. Perez getting his wish, going to Cincinnati, where Tony Perez spent most of his 23 years in the big leagues. Tilson Brito leads it off in the 7th, and the first pitch is a ball. Singled drilled to right field. That was back in the first inning. And then grounded out to first in the third, grounded to second in the fifth.
You know, you think about it, you saw that little bobble even though he completed the play. Keep in mind, too, other than the workout yesterday, AstroTurf. Jays have been on the road, Jacobs Field in Cleveland, Cashman Field in Las Vegas. And some of the younger players don't get to see AstroTurf all that often, so it's an adjustment.
Talking with Cito Gaston on the final day in Florida before the game against the Phillies, before the team flew out to Las Vegas, he was planning to have Crespo as his starting second baseman when they opened the season against the A's in Las Vegas, but Crespo with a slight hamstring pull warming up against the Phillies. Arias, the rookie third baseman, and he gets him at first.
Well, that's a nice play, and twice we've seen Arias go to his left, so he does have a lot of range at third base. This time, not only does he go to his left, he robs Tilson Brito of a base hit. Stays with it, and then shows off a pretty strong throwing arm. Good play by George Arias.
Native of Tucson, Arizona. One down, here's Joe Carter. The left side in foul territory. Fabregas tripped over the pitcher Langston, but the third baseman Arias makes the play.
Well, that's an old play. It's called whoever's left standing makes the catch. What happens here and what needs to happen is somebody really needs to take charge. I think Fabregas wanted it, but it's really Arias' ball all the way. They were both calling and neither heard the other. But the key moment there was when Langston and Fabregas went down.
So Fabregas has retired the first two Blue Jays, Brito and Carter. With two down, here's John Olerud, who's 0 for 2 this afternoon. First pitch is a strike.
See, the Angels will say, well, we worked on that in spring training during our PFP drills, pitcher's fielding practice drills.
High, but not deep to center field. Jim Edmonds is there. Makes the catch, and that's all for the Blue Jays here in the 7th inning. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
It's a free country. If I want to give interviews, I'll give interviews. You know what your problem is? You're too modest. Hey, I give good quotes, and you can print that on the front page. Anthony Hardaway, best player in basketball, guarantees championship. Guaranteed.
You can't say stuff like that.
Tyra, let me just tell you this. I'm an integral part of the Magic organization. Now, Penny is the team leader, but I'm the choreographer for the Magic dance. Get you a job if you want. Hey, whoa, Penny, stop the car. That was Tyra Banks, fool.
Spring into the Mattress Factory Outlet on Tuesday, April 9th for 12 hours only. Save some green. Box spring and mattress as low as $99. Foam mats are only $68. The store is flooded with mattresses. A total price meltdown on all mattresses. Adjustable steel bed frames, only $28. Spring into the Mattress Factory Outlet, 685 Notre Dame, home of the Notre Dame boys. With the buying power of over 240 stores, Castle guarantees quality, value, and service. When it comes to drywall finishing, CGC is the name pros trust. CGC offers a complete line of products in handyman sizes for repairing and finishing drywall. CGC at Castle Building Centers, a friend in your community.
Castle will show you how to build it at your Castle Building Store.
Opening day, 1996, the Blue Jays with a 5-0 lead over the California Angels, trying to go to 16-4 on opening days at home. Gary DiSarcina will lead it off, followed by Velarde, the second baseman. Jim Edmonds, the outstanding center fielder. DiSarcina with a couple of walks. Doesn't have an official at-bat yet here this afternoon. Henkin has given up 3 walks, walking DiSarcina in the 3rd and the 5th. Velarde also in the 5th inning, and right field Perez pulls it in, and the leadoff hitter DiSarcina gone here in the 8th inning.
Those scouting reports pay off. Robert Perez shading down the line, not too deep, and that's exactly where DiSarcina hit the ball.
Pat Henkin with 100 pitches. Here's pitch 101. It's a strike. He has retired 8 in a row.
An inning that really helped him out was the 7th. He had a quick inning, a strikeout and a couple of ground balls a second.
Came back strong in the 6th and the 7th. After loading the bases in the 5th inning, an error by Brito and a couple of walks. Two down very quickly here in the 8th.
Well, he is not letting up at all. Getting the strikeout and just putting it in perfect spots. He's done that ever since the 1st inning. He's gone inside, outside, hit those corners all day.
So that's 6 strikeouts for Pat Henkin with 2 down. Here's the center fielder, Jim Edmonds. That's a strike. The deal with the Disney Corporation has allowed the Angels to sign 3 of their young stars to contract extensions, including Edmonds for 4 years. Percival signed for 4, J.T. Snow for 3.
I'd have to say a lot of those Angels players, the young guys, were rooting for that Disney deal to go through.
You better believe it. But it's great for baseball, just as Disney's been good for hockey.
I think it's going to be great for Southern California, for the Orange County area, where the Anaheim Angels, which they will now be called when that takes over next year, as opposed to the California Angels.
Drops just over the second baseman, Brito. And that is only the 3rd hit given up this afternoon by Pat Henkin. And it comes after he retired 8 in a row.
And certainly not because of making a bad pitch. He made another great pitch to Edmonds, but Edmonds, being a good hitter, fights it off. Again, he stays up. Yeah, he fights that ball off, brought his hands in, and didn't hit it hard, but looped it in for a single.
So with 2 down, Edmonds at first. Here's the right fielder, Tim Salmon. You know, we talked about Disney. Disney's been good for hockey. I can remember when the Mighty Ducks came in, everyone laughed at the name, but they've spent money. A pretty good hockey club. A couple of games in hand in Vancouver as they fight for the playoffs. That is out of play down the right side. Just a reminder, we're on the air Sunday afternoon. One of the game against Seattle here on Speedy Blue Jays baseball. That's a 1 o'clock start. 1:05 actually, the first pitch. 10 o'clock in the West Coast. Blue Jays home to California tomorrow night, 7:35. Also on Thursday, Seattle comes in for a game Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday afternoon. Detroit in next Monday night, next Tuesday afternoon. Tickets available for all those games.
I get a chance to see Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner.
We should say hello this afternoon. A lot of viewers in the northern United States. An old friend of yours, Stratty Lines, looking in today in Vermont. Great friend of Tom Cheeks from Tom's days as an announcer in Vermont.
And you know Stratty's looking in, too.
You better believe it.
And enjoying every minute of this 5-0 ball game. I think this is the type of ball club, Brian, that, yeah, it's young and a 500 season will be a good season, but it's the type of ball club that it's going to grow on people. Jerry Howarth chatting with Dave Stieb. course, Jerry always was a front runner. You know, get those guys when they're being honored. But I think you're going to see hustle. You're going to see mistakes made by hustle.
There's Cheek taking it easy.
Tom Cheek listening to that interview. Well, a great tandem.
I tell you what, Tom was here opening day back in 1977. 2 outs and a full count. Salmon was running, but he goes back to first base. You talk about a young team, though, and we talked about these Blue Jays youngsters at the top of the show. Again, I think all the fans want is a team that at least tries.
We have that situation where it's a catch-22. You want a team to win, but you also want them to try. And this year, there are a lot of guys who are going to be out there trying, playing hard, trying to win a spot, trying to win an everyday job.
And with Tommy Hutton, I'm Brian Williams. Wherever you're looking in this afternoon, I hope you're enjoying our first telecast of 1996 Speedy Blue Jays baseball. We'll be on the air again on Sunday afternoon against Seattle. We have the team here that collapsed last year in the American League West coming in on the weekend. The team that caught the California Angels and eventually won in that one-game playoff, and then, of course, beat the Yankees in an outstanding series. Gonzalez waves off Brito, and that's all for the California Angels here in the 8th inning. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
The Muppets are back in an all-new series. All your favorites, Kermit, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, and a new addition, the hip and happening Clifford. An all-new Muppet series with an all-star lineup of guests. Muppets tonight, Fridays at 8:30. Friday nights!
Haven't these two guys been spending us a little too much time together in the wilderness?
Bingo! Fire!
Stop!
Enough said. Royal Canadian Air Force, Friday on CBC.
They were always singing in the house.
Four families share their musical stories.
My experiences with singing with my mom and my aunt are always very special.
A bond that ties them to each other.
It brings the family together.
Touching and joyful.
What made me follow my father's footsteps is just the love of music.
Our whole family has survived because of music. Family means everything to me.
Music, a family tradition, Sunday on CBC.
We found that 1 in 20 babies was significantly underweight.
Are newborns and mothers sent home too soon?
I remember feeling, I can't do this by myself.
We risk babies dying of dehydration.
Marketplace tonight at 7:30.
Picture this. A hilarious comedy special starring Sean Alex Thompson.
I'm so pretty. Hello, nice people. Lend me your laugh.
And an ensemble cast.
I love it.
1 minute to air.
What a great title!
On CBC Television, Friday at 8.
Back in Toronto for the bottom of the 8th inning. I mentioned the game on Sunday afternoon. Just a reminder, the Mariners in here Friday night. Saturday afternoon, 7:35 start, or first pitch on Friday, 1:05 Saturday and Sunday. We're on the air live Sunday afternoon. Good seats available for all 3 games. And the new pitcher in for the California Angels, Dennis Springer.
Well, he's a knuckleball pitcher, a guy who's bounced around a lot. He's 31 years old, so he's not a youngster. He's in the Dodgers organization, and it's an interesting story. As a knuckleball pitcher, Marcel Latchman, his manager, even made a phone call to Charlie Huff, the former knuckleballer with the Dodgers and Texas Rangers and Florida Marlins, just to ask him a little bit about how to deal with a knuckleball pitcher. And Springer himself has at times talked with Charlie Huff. You need to be patient if you're a manager with a knuckleball pitcher. You need to be patient if you're a hitter against a knuckleball pitcher.
Ed Sprague leads it off, takes ball 1 against Springer. So Mark Langston went 7 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 1 walk, struck out 6, and 1 wild pitch.
Managers would much rather bring in a relief pitcher if he's a knuckleball pitcher to start an inning. they hate to do it with men on because of the chance of pass balls and wild pitches.
Sprague reaching. Snow makes the play, unassisted at first base, 1 down. The Angels actually purchased Springer's AAA contract from Vancouver on April the 5th. That was just last week. Right-hander Steve Olivares was transferred from the 60-day disabled to make room for him on the, or to the 60-day disabled list to make room for him on the 40-man roster. Juan Samuel this afternoon. A couple of singles. Has scored a run. Samuel with a infield single in the 2nd inning, single to center field in the 4th inning. Came in to score on the RBI double by right fielder Robert Perez. And strokes this one into left field. So Samuel, DHing this afternoon, is now 3 for 4.
Great example of how to hit a knuckleball. You have to kind of spread out, and that's the type of stance that Samuel has anyway. He stays back, not a real big stride, and even though that was a good knuckleball, you could see the break in it, he was able to stay right down on it and have a good solid swing.
First pitch to Robert Perez is a strike. Perez this afternoon 1 for 3. And that double to left field in the 4th inning that I mentioned to score Juan Samuel. By Fabregas as he looks down to Samuel at first.
Always an extra amount of work for a catcher when he has to handle that knuckleball pitcher. Fabregas with a little larger mitt now. Oh, nice hitting.
Oh, Perez reaching. Pushes it into right field, and down to second base goes Samuel.
Samuel running in a straight steal because he didn't pick up the hitter. The count was 1-2, and so he actually was sliding into second base. But this is a great pitch, and Robert Perez, who we saw earlier in the game, hit a ground ball to first in the 2nd inning, knows how to hit the ball the other way. Look at Fabregas go out and try to reach for that, and so does Perez, and picks up the base hit. That's nice hitting from a veteran, let alone a rookie.
Well, we've seen a veteran and a rookie back-to-back with some smart hitting. O'Brien pops it up. And into right field to pull it in is Tim Salmon, 2 down. Gonzalez, the shortstop, with 2 down and runners at 2nd and 1st. Juan Samuel's on at 2nd. Robert Perez at 1st. Cito Gaston asking why Gonzalez is hitting in the 9th position when he's hitting so well, saying that he wants to take some pressure off the youngster.
Obviously, if his career progresses, Alex Gonzalez will find himself in other spots in the batting order other than 9th, because he can produce some runs. There were some times last year when he hit up the top of the order and hit quite well.
Goes into left field. Samuel will stay at third. Down to second is Robert Perez. Double steal.
Veteran player can sometimes pick up signs, and when you know Springer is going to flip that knuckleball up there, you know you have a better chance to steal a base, and Juan Samuel almost was able to steal a run with that throw going away from Arias.
Count is 2-1 to Gonzalez with 2 down. Runners at second and third. Talk about the knuckleball.
You know, it's one of those things when a knuckleball pitcher's on the mound, weird things happen in a game. I mean, Alex is fooled so badly that he just lets fly the bat. The ball also gets away from Fabregas.
Gonzalez stays alive here with 2 down. Gonzalez doubled in a run in the 4th inning. The 5th Toronto run. Bottom third of the order has driven in all 5 runs. Charlie O'Brien with a 2-run homer, an RBI single. Perez with an RBI double, and Gonzalez with an RBI double. He waited on that one, and the count is 4.
See how much confidence Springer has in that knuckleball. He has thrown a couple of fastballs in this inning. See what he does on his 3-2 pitch.
Arias, the third baseman, spins and throws to J.T. Snow, and the Blue Jays are gone here in the 8th.
Knuckleball.
You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
It's like having bargaining power right in my wallet.
My store has always had low prices, and I always have Canadian Tire money to make them even lower. With this, I don't hunt for bargains. I make them myself.
20,
$50,
$75 off?
It really adds up. My dad kept his Canadian Tire money in his glove compartment. Me, I keep mine in my pocket.
Everyday low prices. That's good.
Everyday low prices plus Canadian Tire money.
That's better.
Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
Owning a home today in this economic environment.
This home is the one we're going to stay in the rest of our lives.
I think you feel very fortunate if you do own one. When we think about renewing our mortgage, we're not that great at it. That's what we look to the bank for, because you want to make sure that you make the right decision.
To see how you can be home free faster, get expert help, the right plan, and guaranteed competitive rates. See your CIBC personal banker or call now.
We'd have a bit of a barn burner when the mortgage is paid off.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC has been brought to you by Speedy for brakes, mufflers, and tires. At Speedy, you're a somebody. By Labatt Blue, the true Canadian lager. By CIBC, we see what you see. And by Powerade Thirst Quencher, cuts thirst in a powerful way.
And as we head to the top of the 9th inning here in Toronto, it'll be the DH Chili Davis scheduled to follow the first baseman J.T. Snow and the left fielder Garrett Anderson. That's a strike from Pat Henkin.
Well, the first complete game of the major leagues was tossed yesterday in Los Angeles. Hideo Nomo, a 1-0 shutout against Atlanta. Pat Henkin trying to do the same.
Last year, the Blue Jays were only 15-29, Tommy, against left-handed pitching, and today with a right-handed lineup, basically a right-handed lineup, a pretty good effort against a tough left-hander in Mark Langston. Attendance today, 36,316. That is the smallest crowd since 1984 when the Jays drew 35,602 to the old Exhibition Stadium.
That saw a 3-2 Jimmy Key victory.
Blue Jays trying to go 16-4 for opening days. And 4-2 on this season. Won the first two against the Oakland A's in Las Vegas. Went into Cleveland, won Friday night, lost Saturday and Sunday, off yesterday. Just over an outstretched Alex Gonzalez. Boy, he jumped for that one. Just couldn't get to it. That's the fourth California hit of the afternoon, given up by Pat Henkin.
Well, Alex Gonzalez leaps about as high as he can, and the ball is just off the tip of his glove. Good effort on a well-hit ball by Chili Davis.
And that's a ball to the first baseman, J.T. Snow. One ball and one strike. Henkin now ahead in the count, 1-2.
And still finding those corners and spots. Started it in. That's a good pitch. J.T. Snow didn't agree, but that's a good pitch.
That drops in right field in front of Robert Perez. Chili Davis will go to third base. And with none out here in the top of the ninth inning, the Angels now have runners in the corners.
Hey, you think about some of the base hits that the Angels have picked up. Two come to mind on good pitches by Pat Henkin. The one by Jim Edmonds in the eighth inning, he jammed him. This pitch, he gets in on J.T. Snow. Every once in a while, you just have to give the hitter some credit. Snow adjusted to that one strike that was inside.
Well, the Tigers still winning at home. Red Sox winning big. The Yankees now by 2 over Kansas City. See where Texas and Chicago are tied at 2. The Angels came in here 2.5 games behind Texas in the Western Division with a record of 3-2. Had to be out of play, left side.
Say the Red Sox may win big a few times this year with guys like Kevin Mitchell, Jose Canseco, and Mo Vaughn in the middle of that lineup.
Red Sox with a win this afternoon will go to 2-5. Started the day 4 games behind Baltimore. Blue Jays will go to 4-2 and be 1 game behind the Orioles. Pat Henkin down to second for 1. On to first. Double play.
Wow, what a nice play, and what a way to keep the shutout alive. Pat knew that he didn't have a lot of speed at third base in Chili Davis. Plus, it's 5-0. You're not going to take a chance if you're the runner over there. He knocks it down, but keeps his presence and checks Chili Davis. Throws a little low, but look at the acrobatics of Alex Gonzalez and the strong throw. Nice play to keep the shutout alive.
1-6-3. Davis at third base, 2 down.
I think we've seen this afternoon how important it is for pitchers to feel their position.
And the first pitch is a strike to Jack Howell, who is pinch hitting. Jack Howell has just come back from 4 years in Japan, pinch hitting for Arias. Inside, count even at 1-1.
Well, at one time, Jack Howell, the everyday third baseman for the California Angels. but opted for Japan the last 4 years.
It is 5-0 Toronto. Blue Jays have out hit the Angels 11-5. 2 down. Top of the 9th inning. And Chili Davis is that runner at third base. On the corner, 1 pitch away from a shutout.
Well, why should he change the way he began this game, picking apart the corners of the plate, inside and outside?
The center fielder, Otis Nixon, pulls it in. Pat Henkin and the Toronto Blue Jays win their 16th home opener, shutting out the California Angels 5-0.
Well, last year, Pat Henkin had just 2 complete games and no shutouts. He has 3 career shutouts, and all 3 of those came in 1994 when he was 13-8. So mark up a shutout. Mark up a complete game for Pat Henkin, thanks to some good offense from the bottom part of the order.
Good offense from Perez, O'Brien, Gonzalez, and Samuel, and a good ball game that took only 2 hours and 27 minutes to play. The Blue Jays win their home opener, shutting out the California Angels 5-0. This is Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC.
Actually, Abercrombie & Kent isn't in the business of travel at all. We're really in the business of satisfying people's dreams. You go to university, you grow as a person. I believe travel is every bit as important as university. I think the American Express card gives one the confidence and the security to go to the farthest corners of the globe. Everybody knows the card, so it's just part of the culture.
I'm Ken from Fly Anywhere Travel. I'm here to tell you about the new 888 numbers. Dialing 1-888 works just the same as dialing 1-800. It's free. So you could dial a 1-888 number. Here's an example, and it's absolutely free. Just 1 phone call and you could be on your way tomorrow to some exotic location. Sun, sand. I did point out it's only the phone call that's free, right? Sun, sand.
YMCA is not to walk on the moon.
Play a little rock and roll, a little shuffle with the king?
No, we'd never do that.
Just like we wouldn't ask you to go out and get hitched or dressing up like a weird bunny. Whoa! No, the Y will never ask you to do that.
All we're asking for is everyone to give $1 to build new YMCA Center for Life.
Shave your head. That's up to you. Just make sure you drop off your loony at any one of these locations.
Back at Skydome in Toronto, where the Toronto Blue Jays have defeated the California Angels 5-0. I guess the storylines in this game this afternoon, Tommy Hutton, the bottom 4 players in the order and the pitching of Pat Henkin.
I'll tell you what, when you get production from the bottom part of your order, it's always a bonus for a ball club. And today, the Jays had an 8-for-12 performance from their last 4 hitters, all 5 runs, all 5 RBIs produced by those men. And then when you get a pitching performance the way they did this afternoon from Pat Henkin, you know it's a plus, and Pat had a beautiful ball game today.
I understand we have Charlie O'Brien standing by. Charlie, it's Brian Williams and Tommy Hutton upstairs. Congratulations, 2-run homer, 3 runs batted in. I'm wondering, were you hoping Nick Leyva would stop you at third base, brothers? You chugged around.
Well, I didn't know it was that far from first to home anymore. It's been a long time since I'd run that far. So, you know, it was a lot of fun. Pat did a great job and kept us in the ball game early when we didn't score a lot of runs. And in a tight ball game like that, it's real important to keep the guys off the scoreboard. He did that.
How was it, Charlie, this afternoon? I know you hit the ball well with some mistakes that Langston made. That's the kind of hitter you are, too, and he left a couple of balls out over the plate, didn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically that's what all real hitters are. I mean, there's 90% of us that hit cripples, and the other 10% are the great hitters. So, you know, it's just a good situation to hit in. It's 3-1, 2-0 both times that I got those hits, and you know, those definitely are hitters' counts, and you know, I got some good balls to handle.
All right, we talk about the hitting of Charlie O'Brien. He caught Juan Guzman the other day in Cleveland. A little different situation, Charlie, when you have Guzman out there compared to the way Henkin threw the ball today.
Yeah, they're two different type pitchers. Both of them are real quality starters, and they go about their work a little bit differently. But you know, the results have been the same. And you know, if those guys can stay healthy and stay competitive throughout the year, you know, they're going to keep this young team in it.
Charlie, congratulations. Great game this afternoon.
Well, thank you very much.
That is Blue Jays catcher Charlie O'Brien. You are watching Speedy Blue Jays baseball on CBC. We'll return to Sky Dome in Toronto right after this.
Imagine hearing the call of the road, not the road itself. Imagine the world at your fingertips. Imagine an automobile so precisely engineered, it feels as if it were formed from a single piece of steel. Imagine a choice of sedan or wagon for the same price. Introducing the all-new 1996 Mercury Sable. Could you imagine anything better?
Imagine yourself in a Mercury.
No cheese? We gotta have cheese. Cheese sandwich, cheese omelet, cheese tacos. Cheese ball, yeah! Ham and cheese, wine and cheese, yeah! Cheese fondue, cheese soup, cheesecake, hey, cheese slides, whoa!
You'll never run out of things to make, as long as you never run out of cheese.
Cheese burrito, cheese...
When you've got cheese, you've got choice.
Why waste time with a tractor like this when you can own a quality Mastercraft tractor from Canadian Tire? It has shift on the go to perform smoothly in tight areas without stopping, so you can finish your lawn in no time. Everyday low prices? That's good. Plus, no payments till August with your Canadian Tire card? That's better. Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get babies?
Well, they come from their mummy's tummy.
How do they get into Mummy's tummy? Do they grow from seeds?
Oh, look, children's television is
Do daddies
on.
make boys and mummies make girls?
How would you like to go to McDonald's for lunch?
Yeah, can I have a Happy Meal?
Yes.
And you have a Big Mac?
Yes.
And then you tell me all about it.
Well, there's the line as the Blue Jays win their 16th home opener. The record now 16-4 in home openers. The players of the game, Pat Henkin with his first shutout since June of '94. Charlie O'Brien with a 2-run homer, 3 runs batted in. A cash donation will be made on their behalf by AST and Weed Eater to the World Wildlife Fund. As well, an amateur baseball team will be their guests at a future game. And speaking of future games, Speedy Blue Jays baseball back on the air Sunday afternoon at 1 Eastern, 10 on the West Coast, the Mariners and the Blue Jays. And just a reminder, Hockey Night in Canada coming up at 7:30 Eastern Saturday. The national game will follow, and it's a big one. Calgary at Vancouver at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 on the West Coast. And now for Tommy Hutton, I'm Brian Williams. Good ball game. Hope you enjoyed it. So long from Toronto.